Look at how bald my eyelash is. I think I showed y'all this before. I literally have a bald spot on my eyelash. I don't know how that got there. Like, it's been there for years. I do kind of pull out my eyelashes, but I don't think I ever just pulled in one spot like that. It's bothering me. And castor oil is not working at all. It's literally just like a huge bald spot. It looks weird. Look at that. If y'all have any suggestions, please let me know. I do not want a bald spot on my eyelid. And this one is just as full as can be. I do not understand that. Full set of eyelashes. And this one is just sparse or scarce, one of them, both of them. Look at that. That's, ew, what is happening? What happened there? Please suggest something to me because I don't know what to use. I was thinking about getting some vitamin E oil capsules because that just looks like, look at the contrast from this one and this. It's like this is the blessing and this is the curse. Anyway, I wanted to talk about a witchcraft tool of Jezebel, and one of them is isolation, which is what I'm going to be talking about. Now, when I watch narcissistic videos or videos about narcissism, I know that they do talk about isolation being a tactic that narcissists use, and narcissism is the Jezebel spirit. Now, I don't really remember like what their standpoint is when they do talk about isolation being a tactic, but there is two different types of isolation. And I'm going to talk about one that I think people who expose narcissism like usually kind of refer to. The first type of isolation is where the person with the Jezebel spirit or the spirit operating through this person purposely tries to make you feel insignificant, purposely tries to make you feel rejected, and wants to back you into a corner so that they can appear to be more authoritative or superior to you. And what that does is, I'm not going to go into what I said in my older videos about whether it's the person or whether they know what they're doing. That's a whole nother video. I already talked about that. But what that does is it breaks you down psychologically, and it does break you down mentally for that spirit and that person to gain more control over you. So it really is a witchcraft and a manipulation tactic. Is if I can get you to feel insignificant around me or to feel like you're not worth anything and I isolate you. Let's say, for example, I love to use the example of a clique of girls or a group of people who love to make you feel like you're not worthy. You're the black sheep of that group. It could be a family. It could be people in school. It could be people at your job. But it's always a group of people or a collective group of people that always try to make you feel like you're just the oddball. You just the one that just stick out like a sore thumb. They don't want nothing to do with you. You'll find they always act funny with you. They love to click up against you and play all these different mind games. And even the mind games is witchcraft because like I said, whether they know what they're doing or not, that spirit knows exactly what it's doing through them to you. And it's meant to screw you up mentally and to make you start questioning yourself and your own identity. And that is actually an extension of the manipulation tactic to isolate you and back you into a corner because you feel like, well, you're not worth anything. You don't fit in. You don't belong. You feel rejected. Rejection, I actually have videos on rejection, and I looked so disgusting in that video. I actually had my scarf wrapped around my chest. I want to take it down and just record it all over again because I still have the information because I wrote it down. But I think I said in those videos that rejection, the rejection spirit is literally the doorway to Jezebel. Rejection is like the door opener. That one guy opens the door for the Queen Jezebel, so that she can gain a foothold in some type of or build some type of stronghold or a false throne within that person. And she's the one manipulating and pulling the strings in the person. And rejection, I think I said, rejection is very sneaky because that spirit, it seems like because Jezebel is the one in control, that rejection doesn't really have a say-so or isn't really as powerful as Jezebel, but that's not the case. I would say the rejection spirit is probably a little bit more manipulative than Jezebel is. I don't think one is stronger than the other. Rejection is very powerful, and those of you who deal with that spirit know that that's true. They work alongside each other, and they just have different roles, kind of like Ahab and Jezebel, literally. And that's why people say, they always talk about Ahab men, they're weak. And I really do think that Ahab men have a rejection spirit in order to even operate in an Ahab spirit in the first place, because if you really just examine and pay attention how rejection spirit and Jezebel, they always go hand in hand. I promise you, anybody that has a Jezebel spirit, I can assure you 9 times out of 10 they have a rejection spirit, because those spirits, they work like Bonnie and Clyde together. Like, they gonna go, it doesn't matter if they're in the person or if they're working together to attack somebody else. It's always those two spirits that are working together to rob that bank together. Somebody is the getaway driver, rejection is the getaway driver, and Jezebel is the one that's going to go in there and take the money, take the jewels and everything. So it may appear that rejection isn't as powerful, but I think that's what that spirit wants you to think. My personal experience with the spirit of rejection and Jezebel, rejection is the one that fuels Jezebel, because rejection helps those wounds stay fresh. It doesn't matter if this offense happened 10 years ago. Rejection, that spirit will, its main responsibility and assignment is to make you feel and continue to make you feel as raw and vulnerable as possible, as if it happened yesterday. And as long as that wound is still there, Jezebel still has access, and she still has a false authority over that stronghold, because rejection is the one that's keeping the stronghold raw in the first place. You can never really heal from whenever the wound was, because the rejection spirit is always going to make sure that you stay offended. So that's why I say Jezebel, she is the dog that barks, but she is not as big as her bark. And rejection is the quiet dog. Very subtle. Looks like he may not be as powerful, because you just see Jezebel in the forefront. But that spirit is probably either just as powerful as Jezebel or maybe even more powerful, because it's no coincidence that women or men with the Jezebel spirit, they're the main ones that are always in your face. They have to be the center of attention. They have to be loud. They have to show off. They need the praise. It's not a coincidence, because that spirit and people with that spirit, it looks like that they're this big shot. But if you were to really look behind them, there's really nothing behind that. They're probably really just insecure and don't have any real self-esteem, and they need people to gas them, which is why they have to stay on top like that. They need your praise. If Jezebel does not get praised, she will go crazy. So look behind her. Who's gassing? Who's giving Jezebel her authority, really? Don't just look, don't believe the smoke and the mirrors with this spirit. And the people that this spirit used, they may appear to be royalty and just queens and so intimidating and so much power, and they're so bold and outspoken, but who's behind her? Who's gassing her? Ahab. Who's giving her her authority in the first place? Ahab is. I think we need to stop saying Ahab's spirit, because really Ahab's spirit, I want to say, is really rejection spirit in disguise. It's like rejection spirit is hiding behind Ahab's spirit. Probably two different spirits that accompany one another when it comes to an Ahab male, because rejection is definitely there with the Ahab male, but it seems like when we talk about an Ahab male, we like to just look at the fact that this spirit is what yields to Jezebel. This spirit is what cowers to Jezebel, doesn't really know how to stand up for himself. He's very weak, very easily manipulated, very gullible and naive, easily controlled, easy to run over. He's a doormat. So I guess you could say, yeah, there probably is two different spirits when it comes to Ahab and rejection, but anybody with the Ahab spirit is a prisoner to himself, because rejection is there too. So he's dealing with, it's like the female, even though men can have Jezebel too, it's like, let's say the female has Jezebel and rejection. Well, the man would have Ahab in rejection. That's why I said the rejection spirit is sneaky. He's probably a lot more powerful than that Jezebel spirit is, because he's the one that's manipulating both sexes or both people from two different angles. Whereas Jezebel, it may look like she's this big powerful, like it is a principality, but I'm just saying she needs something to kind of break the window first. I don't see Jezebel as a spirit that can just barge in. Something has to be broken down or fragmented first. And not Jezebel, rejection is usually the spirit to go ahead and carry that out, to even give Jezebel her entry in the first place, for her to even gain that kind of control within somebody and to develop those strongholds like that. So that has been my experience with Jezebel and rejection. I've noticed that no matter how much knowledge I've ever gained about the Jezebel spirit or how much warfare I did, if I still had that bitterness or that unforgiveness or those wounds there, somehow they were still fresh, she maintained her control over me in my personality, period, through those wounds and through those strongholds. So I wouldn't take my eyes off of Jezebel. It's just really acknowledge like who's behind her and who's gassing her, and you'll find that it's that rejection spirit. I'm laughing, but it's just a trip how these spirits be working. Like, they're really just so sneaky, but it's that rejection spirit keeping those wounds fresh, because you know what's going to happen in Jezebel once that person gets healed and is not dealing with all that offense anymore. She gonna lose her throne, because she doesn't really have a foothold anymore. She doesn't have anything to continue standing upon. She's talking in the mic and ain't nobody there to watch her. And it's amazing how this spirit is so gassed up. And I really do believe that that's the true nature and personality of the Jezebel spirit in the spirit realm, because not saying she doesn't have power. And sometimes when it comes to demons and Satan himself, I really don't think they have supernatural power. God didn't take that away from them, but it's just that they know how to manipulate our mind in a way to where we perceive them to be more powerful than what they really are. They're really intelligent with how to operate with certain things, and that's really where their power stems from. But when it comes to like actual authority, they don't have that. And if you really learn like the real way how they operate, different strategies that they use and why they usually come in packs, we gotta ask yourself, if a demon was so powerful and had the ability to just do all this different stuff, why do they feel the need to come in groups? Well, obviously y'all need each other. They feed off of each other to take that person down and to keep them in bondage. So no, Jezebel would lose her throne if somebody was to really get healed and just all that bitterness was to leave, or they got some type of love. She'd be gone. Because she can't use anything. And rejection, oh my goodness, that rejection spirit. Rejection is really the only thing that's gassing her or really giving her fuel. He's the Oz, behind the veil, and she's the one that's like the sorceress and just so beautiful and so majestic and so powerful. I'm the Wicked Witch of the West. And behind her, you see rejection just pushing all the buttons. Like, that's literally what it is with that spirit. But I completely got off topic. What was I talking about? Yeah, so Ahab, and I just got that. I really never thought about it that way. But yeah, so rejection has like several different functions. Jezebel does too, but rejection, whether it's a man or a woman, it's always going to be working with another spirit together to take this person down. And if it's an Ahab male and he has a spirit that cowers to Jezebel and he's dealing with rejection at the same time, oh, you can forget about that. I think God just told me godly love is really what just completely just crucifies anything that these spirits do. If somebody was to really get a godly, unconditional, passionate love, that demonic operation would completely cease. Like, Jesus' main ministry is love over everything else that he did. Signs and wonders and stuff like that. It really is love. But anyway, back to isolation. So that's one type of isolation that I think people probably usually refer to when they talk about narcissism and narcissistic traits. Is really just an attempt and intent and motive to make you feel cornered, back you into a corner, to break you down, make you feel really defenseless and vulnerable. And once that happens, and you're broken down and your defenses are pretty much down, that's when they can gain entry and kind of pack up on you, beat up on you, and gang up on you and all that good stuff. And as a result of that, you feel like you can't defend yourself because your defenses have been broken down, so you just kind of submit to them indirectly. And it just goes to show how, like, demons are really just thieves and robbers, because I think they can see when somebody is really strong and confident, and they know that the only way to really take you down and gain power over you is to break you down first. And that's why you'll find that before a demon can gain entry into anybody, they always oppress the person first to get their defenses down. They got to get you off the word first. It's a step-by-step process every time. They got to get you off the word first. All of a sudden, you're not reading as much anymore. You're not really spending no time in prayer. You're not spending time with God. And you're being tormented. So they're attacking you. And it's so funny because I was just reading this in Exodus with Moses. And I wanted to do a video on it so bad, but I had to contain myself. I noticed how Pharaoh was intimidated by the children of Israel and how they were just really multiplying and growing. And the strategy that he set out in order to keep them in bondage and really just to maintain some type of power and control over them, God told me that was the mind of Satan. So literally when you go read Exodus, the beginning, like the very first and second chapter, God is really just showing you Satan's mindset when it comes to Christians. And I find it very interesting that Pharaoh, his main concern was that they're multiplying, so there's a possibility that they could potentially come against us as an army. So I have to find a way to oppress them, keep them down, keep them in a controlled environment. So as long as I can oversee that and they're constantly under oppression, they're never, even if they continue to grow, they're never going to really, come up to be this huge army and potentially take my kingdom away from me. So that's how Satan sees Christians. So he actually does acknowledge that Christians are more powerful than him. Like I said, they're just very intelligent when it comes to how to keep you bound. It's not that they're more powerful than you. They have more smarts than you do. The word says we suffer for lack of knowledge. So in other words, if those Israelites had really maybe just woke up one day, smelled the coffee. Definitely not that banned coffee, because that was disgusting. But let's just say they just woke up and smelled the coffee one day, like, we don't have to deal with this anymore. Like, why are we always submitting to this oppression? Let's get up, form an army, and take him down, which was his main fear, because he saw that. So Satan can see the potential in a Christian. He can see your authority and what you're capable of, but he knows that you don't know that. So his tactic is just keep them under oppression, and they won't even have the strength or will or desire to even get up and try to fight against us. So, what the heck was I talking about? Oh my God. I completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to rewind to what I thought I was talking about, which was isolation. Was I talking about isolation? And how they just break you down first, and then I started going into oppression. Yeah. So basically, yeah, that's just what, they just got to break you down first. And if they're successful in breaking you down, which they shouldn't be, really the only reason why demons are successful in breaking people down, I'll have to say Christians, because if you're not a Christian, it's inevitable that you are going to be broken down, obviously, because you don't have any covering. But if you are a Christian, the only reason or way a Christian could be broken down by oppression is because, number one, like I said, they suffer for lack of knowledge. They don't know how to fight. Probably don't even know what they're fighting to begin with, which is why it's very important for you to seek God about that when you're feeling attacked and oppressed. Because, yes, that's what I was talking about. Because they are aware of that you're a threat. They're not going to attack you if you're not a threat. So their strategy and tactic is, I see how powerful they are. I know they have authority against us, but they don't know that. So let's go and, spoil them and take their kingdom down and, take them down. And then they jump on you and throw the ropes on a Christian, which really to them is just a big giant and they're ants, but they throw the ropes on you. And because you don't really have any knowledge or understanding or equipment about warfare or demons or the devil, because you go to a church where they don't teach any of that stuff, or maybe, I don't know, they can take you down. And you will get to a place where you are or become subservient to those spirits. So that isolation tactic is one that Jezebel does, in fact, use to back you into a corner and to make you feel, give you the illusion that she is superior to you when really she's really just a little witty bitty insecure manager, or I don't know, sister, whoever the person may be to you. Yeah, they're really not. These people gas themselves, and it's really insane. I don't think people who do this, there's so many people who have this prideful, haughty, personality about them that you probably encountered in your life, and they don't even once consider that that's completely psychotic. It's really a psychotic mindset to have, because if you're really insecure, I never understood how insecurity births such false confidence. Like, that is witchcraft. That is the most creepiest thing in the world. Like, you don't even have a lick of self-esteem, but you just have this bigoted, just like, attitude. Like, it's crazy, man. But there's nothing behind them. There's something backing them. They're really dependent on other people's praise and other people's resources to really make them who they are. But if you were to take all that stuff away, they don't have anything. They're nobody. So that's the first type of isolation. The second type of isolation, which I wanted to talk about, but unfortunately I'm already 20 minutes into this video, is literal and physical isolation that the Jezebel spirit uses. So it's kind of like the same tactic, except it's really, like, in the sense that it's still meant to keep you in a corner. But this would be for those of us who are like stuck in the house all the time, that type of isolation. Or you have a certain fear of going out, going different places, or going to the store, or just, you really just don't want to, or, every time you try to go and hang out or make friends or go somewhere, these spirits manifest, or you get oppressed and they attack you and you can't function, in the real world. So you're only comfortable at home. That's that type of isolation. And what I have noticed with that, with my own life, that I literally just discovered, is it's amazing how when it comes to the Jezebel spirit and a witchcraft tool that she uses for like type 2 isolation, I can have the most evil, bitter, negative thoughts about people in my heart. Some of them may be factual. It could be true, but it's not from God. Anything about somebody or anything that is revealed to you that really manifests or causes you to harbor feelings that's contrary to the love of God or his nature is not of God. That's not God. I can promise you that's a demonic spirit. They could be telling you things that are completely true, factual, but it's not God. But I've noticed that I can have like all these negative, just these spirits, when they get you in a place of isolation where you're really just by yourself. They construct these different mindsets for you, and it really becomes a stronghold for them to operate through mentally. They control how you see people, how you see yourself, how you perceive the things around you, to keep you shut in. Which is why you'll find that a lot of people who are, they claim to be introverts, or, they are in isolation. Not saying that everybody who likes to keep to themselves or that is in isolation, because God uses isolation too, but that's why you'll find that they always have something negative to say. When I have this one brother in Christ that I talk to, and he did deal with the rejection spirit, but I would always talk about like hanging out with him and stuff, because I think he probably still lives in California, but he would talk about coming to Texas and stuff. I was like, okay, well, there's really nothing here to do in Beaumont, but we can go to the mall, we can go like to the movies or something, and it doesn't matter what I said, it was always something negative with him, like, I don't like the mall. I hate them all. I just cannot stand it. I was like, why? He was like, I just don't like shopping. I was like, well, we don't have to shop. It's just because really there's nothing to do in Beaumont. So I was just like, well, we can just walk around and, I mean, you window shop and just, the mall is still like a little, adventure in its own. You don't have to buy something. And he was just really set on like, I hate the mall. I just hate being there. I just don't like being there. I was like, okay, well, I was like, well, the movies then, like, everybody goes to the movies. That's just the thing to do. I hate movies. I said, why? He's like, I just don't. I'm just so, like, over, the new age and just, the end time. Like, he was just really, And he was kind of like a babe. Like I think at this point, when I started fellowship with him, he was just really kind of getting into the word and stuff. So God was really at this point exposing a lot of things to him, you know. So I could understand why that was his mindset, but I hate movies, and there's just really nothing. If it's not about God, I really don't want to watch it. And, you know, even though you gotta be careful with stuff like that, even if it is a Christian movie. And I was like, okay. I think I suggested a restaurant as well, and I can't remember what he said, but it was just like, it did not matter what I suggested that we do, just to hang out in fellowship. It was something negative about why he did not want to go out and just leave. And I'm like, now he actually was working, so I'm not saying that he was really just in a place of isolation, but those spirits, that's a perfect example of how spirits can really manipulate somebody's mind. And they build those kind of thought patterns. And so, to the point where they just want to crucify your will to go out and do anything. And then, you know, you'll find that you'll start believing that it's God for you to just stay where you are and not to be productive, when it calls for you to go out and make disciples. That's what the Bible told you to do, is to go out, make disciples. So at some point, whatever God's will or destiny is for you, you're going to have to get out. You know, God may have you in a season of isolation, you know, for like the wilderness or preparation for something. But for you to just like completely just detest the entire world around you, that's not God. You know, Jesus, you know, was very much aware that we live in the matrix and that everything around us is wicked, but that didn't stop him from going from Galilee to Jerusalem to, you know, Nazareth and all these different places and doing what he needed to do. You're going to have to like function in the matrix just to get people out. That's in the Matrix movie. So it's like, you can't be this Christian that just thinks everything is just evil. So I'm not even going to touch myself. Oh my God, I don't even want to bathe no more because I'm just filthy. There's no good thing that dwells in the flesh. So I'm not even going to feed my flesh. You know, I just think it's just evil, period. I just want to die. You know, I used to think like that when I was a Christian. Like, everything is evil. Don't drink Starbucks. Don't drink here. Don't eat this. You know, oh my God, look at what they're doing to the food. We're going to have to just eat ice for the rest of our lives. And it's just like, okay, please relax. Like, it's not that deep. And if for any reason God doesn't want you shopping or really consuming anything from a certain place, he will put that in your spirit and just obey that conviction. But for you to just be that way with everything, just because you feel like everything is evil, well, honey, you live in Satan's government. Everything around you is evil. You know, like the word says, if you want to just completely escape evil, you'd have to leave the earth. And that wouldn't even suffice because demons are in the second heaven. So it's like, you really, unless you plan on just dying and going to heaven, you're not going to escape evil anywhere. We're here to take evil down and manifest the kingdom of God, not fear it and become unproductive and just don't do anything. So, I just thought that was odd when it came to him, because he would always do that. And I didn't really think about it in this aspect, like I have this knowledge now, but I knew that he did have the rejection spirit. I just thought that was a weird complex at the time that he had. Like, okay, like, what do you, like, what are we supposed to do? Like, that's the whole point in fellowship. Like, you go out and have fun and do things, you know. So, type 2 isolation, I've noticed that spirit really likes to keep you in a fixed environment. It's different from God's isolation. God can put you in a controlled environment too for his purposes. But this spirit will purposely put you in a place of isolation for the sole purpose of really just violating you mentally, working witchcraft on your mind. And as long as you stay in that place of isolation, every lie that spirit is telling you and sowing into your heart and sowing into your mind, in addition to the oppression that you're under, because trust me, they are oppressing you, because they have to break you down. So you can't just break me down psychologically by putting lies in my head. You have to oppress me too. So there's going to be the tormenting dreams and everything else that you're getting, and the incubus and succubus spirits molesting you and having sex with you. And so it's just going to be a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And I've noticed that I always have like just negative thoughts just about people, and it used to be worse like years ago when it came to Jezebel, but it's not as bad as it used to be. But just a negative, just an onslaught of just negative thoughts, whether I was on social media or not. It's very strange, but I always have like this natural detestment that already comes with me reading anything or certain people that I would think about on a day-to-day basis. Because really, if you're in isolation, you don't really have too much to do. So all you have is your mind. And I really think that's just dangerous. Like, have books or something, or be in the Word, have something like that. But to just really just be in your mind all day, a lot of those thoughts come from the enemy. And what I have experienced is I've had this shell and that witchcraft and that hardness built up over my heart due to those thoughts that I would have. But as soon as I got in the presence of that person, that immediately broke off. Immediately. All those things you were believing, whether it was about the people or about the outside, or whether, whatever your perceived convictions were and why you didn't want to do this and didn't want to do that, as soon as you get out and go into that atmosphere or go, into this person's presence, that immediately just goes away. And it really should make you question, well, what was the source in me even having that in my heart about that person in the first place? Because I used to think, well, maybe, I really don't like them and I'm just being soft because they're in my face now. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's that. I think you really don't feel that way about them in your heart. And those spirits can make you believe that you do. And, they sow all those negative seeds. And I really do think that the reason they do that, they could do it with certain people purposely. I've noticed that anytime I had a fellowship or relationship with a sister in Christ, I would always have some type of negative just perception about them. It doesn't matter what we talked about or how I could feel that they were like ordained of God and sent to me, to kind of comfort me and encourage me. But I would always have negative thoughts about them. And I think that spirit does that purposely because she sees anybody that could potentially pull you out of her clutches or her prison, even though you may still be physically in the prison. If you have any type of encouragement, that can break her witchcraft off of you. So she'll purposely put these thoughts in your mind about this sister in Christ or this brother in Christ or your husband or your wife or whoever the spirit don't want you to talk to. And it will make you believe these lies about them and push them away. And because she has so much control over your mind and has been using you as a puppet for so long, you're probably not even in a place to discern that it's a spirit and not even you. And that those things are not true. The enemy is really just trying to keep you away from other believers and from other saints. And you're just kicking everybody out like, you know what, your hair is brown. And I've been thinking about it for like 2 months now. And I just hate it so much. I just don't want to talk to you anymore. And, it's just, I would have situations where it was just things about them I just could not stand. I could not put my finger on it. I couldn't really explain it. I just couldn't stand them. And it was really the spirit in me that couldn't stand them. And I pushed every single one of them away. So one of her tactics of isolation is she doesn't want you to talk to anybody. She wants you to stay where you are, because if you have any type of person or anything in the outside world that could invalidate or counteract the lies that she has been feeding you in your isolation, it's going to break her stronghold off of you. So she has to keep you out of church. She has to keep you from other saints. She has to keep you from whoever your God-ordained relations are. She just doesn't want you to have any type of tie or some type of gateway of love. She doesn't want you to have any possible gateway where God can kind of penetrate through and use somebody to get to you. And this is why you'll find that narcissistic men who are very controlling, very domineering, the girls who are in relationships with guys like this are very docile. They're very submissive, very subservient to them. They fear them. And what does that guy tell that girl? When they get into their relationship immediately, all of a sudden, she can't talk to her family anymore. She can't talk to her best friends. I mean, you see it all the time. This is abusive, just narcissistic relationships. These are these types of dudes. They're very abusive to you, both mentally, verbally, emotionally, sometimes physically, because it's purposely meant to break you down. They do whatever they need to do to break you down, to weaken your defenses, and to make you feel like you are insignificant and below them so that you won't challenge them or defy against them. And you continue to stay subservient to them. That's why guys hit women. I mean, there's no other reason why a guy would hit you. Unless he's just crazy and he has a temper problem and he just hits you for that reason. But other than that, I really think it's a power and control thing. They know that if they hit you, number one, you're not stronger than them. So really, unless you're just a feisty chick, you're not going to hit them back. Shout out to the ones who are feisty and who be, popping out. But 9 times out of 10, a woman is not going to hit a man back because we fear their strength and their authority. And that's why they beat you. They're constantly beating you down because you already feel defenseless. Like, that's the first level of defense going down. I'm not as strong as him. I'm not even going to try to hit him back. Number two, I can't do anything about it because he is stronger than me. So if I attempt to leave, he's just going to hit me again. So I'm just going to stay here and just keep getting beat up. And that is trauma in itself. So that definitely plays a part in psychological breakdown, which is what the guy wants anyway. He just wants somebody that he can control. Really. He wants a docile woman, not a godly submission. He wants somebody who's going to listen and appease him and, just take heed to his every, word and cry and whatever he wants. And you just pretty much like a blow-up doll to him, like a puppet. He just controls you and manipulates you. And then you'll find out the God tells him stuff. Just like I said, the Jezebel spirit does to you in your isolation. Your mama don't love you. Your dad doesn't love you. Nobody loves you. You're a worthless skank. You're just all these negative things in the refrigerator that's spoiled. Just all, they'll tell you all this negative stuff about yourself and how they're the only one that loves you. So now your perception of love is being tainted as well, because once again, you're stuck in this guy's clutches. You're always with him, going everywhere that he goes. You can't go anywhere else because he's making sure that you stay by his side. So now you don't even really have anything from the outside world to, like I said, invalidate or counteract what he's telling you love is. So your mind starts to become corrupt and renewed according to what he's telling you love is. But you never encountered real love. And you'll find that girls who did not have a dad usually end up with guys like this. They didn't have a dad to show them love, so to them it's like, well, this is love. Maybe he hits me because he loves me. But you wouldn't know that because you don't know what love is. And I really do think that I think people can come to a place where, because they don't really know love and our sin nature, we're already fallen from grace. So we don't know the love of God, which is true, authentic love. So I really do think you can come to a place of desensitization where you kind of die to certain emotions and avoid. The void may still be there, but I'm just saying, that longing for passion or to just be held or to just be embraced and caressed and really cared about. I really do believe that if somebody is in an abusive relationship for a certain amount of time, that can die in them. And they probably do start to believe that that's really love. So, but yeah, that's the isolation tactic with relationships like that. They really keep you away from everybody. You can't talk to your family anymore. You had best friends before you got with this guy. All of a sudden, your friend's gone. I'm your friend. Like, you need to talk to them hoes. All this other stuff that they say. And it's just crazy stuff. But they just want control. They want as much possession. They're very possessive over you physically, sexually, and all that stuff. But they want to be possessive over your mind as well. And it really it's the same parallel of how Satan wants to get access to people. It's a step-by-step process with how he goes about breaking you down. But what demons really want, in this whole game of just charades, they want to possess you. They want all of you. They just have to go through different degrees to kind of break you down to where, and I really do, they go for the mind first. I say, if Satan got your mind, he got you. If I can get you to break down psychologically, I can do whatever I want to do to you. And that's exactly what they do in these industries with these artists and stuff. I don't think that everybody's a clone. I mean, they do clone, and I believe in that, but I don't think it's that everybody's just a clone, or that they're just so satanic and evil, and that, they just love Satan, which is why they do these things. No, they've been abused. They're afraid. You probably have never experienced that, so you may not know how that trauma really affects somebody, but I really do believe if you're in a situation where you've been beaten and abused, and psychologically in so many different types of ways that we don't even know about, other than what they show on YouTube and, things that God's allowed to be exposed in this hour, in this time, but they do come to a place where it just becomes natural to just submit, because they're that broken down mentally. They don't have a will. I really believe that what those people do in the industry, they want to take away your will because they want control over you. So they break you down so much to the point where you don't even have a will to fight back. Your mind is so desensitized and literally just so broken down, I naturally just submit to what they tell me to do. Now, on the onset, it may look like, oh, they love Satan, so that's why they're doing it. They don't love, nobody loves Satan. Anybody loves Satan? There's no way. I don't know. Maybe they do. Some of them do. I don't know. But no, it's just bondage. It's just a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma. and they don't have, like I said, they purposely kept in this environment. They can, if you notice, other celebrities can really only marry other celebrities. Some of them marry people that are just basic. Like Candy, she married Todd from Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm not saying Todd's basic. He's just not as famous as her. So I think it really depends. But you just see most celebrities dating other celebrities. They purposely keep you in this culture, in this society, where you are going to be monitored and controlled by everybody around you. And the person that you even marry and date and have kids with has to be a part of that society because it's a part of keeping you in control. And if they, I really do believe this, if they do let you see any of your family, they family probably in on it too somehow. Probably got threatened if you say anything, going to kill you or kill her. You just going to have to be along with the program and enjoy the benefits while we rape your daughter and have her go through all these orgies and sexual rituals, and you watch her just be pretty much exploited on stage. You know, you're just gonna have to be in on it. So you just shut up and don't say anything. And because I always wondered, like, I look at Rihanna and I'm just like, I don't know about Caribbean people, but I have some Caribbean sisters in Christ, and the way they tell me that their culture is, I know there's some raunchy Jamaicans. I've seen their dances, and I'm just like, okay, y'all need deliverance. But I look at Rihanna, and I'm just like, how she used to be, very pure, and, you know, her little accent, and just, you know, really chill, laid-back girl. And I look at her mom. I said, how does a woman like this not have a problem with her daughter? I know at some point she's listened to her music and what she sings about. Now you see her, Rihanna is completely taken over by those spirits. Like, she's a completely different person. She's gone. Wearing clothing where her breasts are exposed. In one video that she did recently, Needed Me, I think. Oh, I have to turn it off. I gotta press this one to listen to that song, but don't watch it. But yeah, she's wearing like this sheer, you know, she just don't care anymore. And I said, how could a mother, number one, but number two, a woman of good integrity, look at her daughter and be accepting of her having a career like this and not say anything about it? Katy Perry's mom, too. They're supposed to be Christians. We know that everybody's really not, you know, the true bride, but I'm just saying, you know, just from generally, they're supposed to be Christians. So, how? No. There's no way I'm a Christian mom. And I'm listening to you sing about how you kissed girls and you liked it. You're always dressing in darkness. You look like a witch. And you're prancing around like, no, something is wrong with that. And the parents are just parading around like, oh my God, I'm so proud of her success. Oh my God, look at my baby. Like, you're either dumb or stupid or both, or you got threatened. So there's no such thing as their family and friends being a part of their life and them not being in on that knowledge somehow. Because they purposely want to keep you in a controlled environment. Everybody around you is a part, or they assist in keeping you controlled. That's a very horrible way to live, but that's the truth. They purposely do that. They can't have any friends. They can't have anybody that could potentially serve as a threat to their programming over that person. They're not stupid. They're not gonna let you have any type of interaction with somebody who could talk some sense into you or really talk to you about the Lord, try to pull you out of that mess. And if they do and they found out about it, I believe they probably try to threaten them or run them off, pay them off with some money, or threaten to kill them or something, you know, or will kill them. They're not going to let that person get any access to that because it's going to break their power over them. And I really do believe that when it comes to mind control, if you were to really come to this person who's been under strong mind control with the Word of God, and they're just getting that, like a consistent, you know, flow of truth and some sanity back into them, it would kind of wake them up a little bit. May take a while, but it'll kind of wake them up. And eventually that person will probably start to regain some strength or some will and some desire to get out or to fight back. So they purposely keep people like that out and, you know, from around them, because if we can keep them here and let them have friends, you know, let them have, you know, mingle and stuff, but it's going to be with people who are not going to be a threat. Well, it's going to keep your will broken down. They purposely put you around other celebrities. That's why I say some of these celebrities be hanging out. I'm like, they're not really friends. They don't care about them people. They purposely, they don't want you to hang out with anybody else that's not a celebrity because they have to keep you in this mindset of this type of lifestyle. This is your reality as a celebrity. I only want you to have celebrity friends. And if you have any friends that are not celebrities, they can't, it's going to be very limited or controlled as well because they control your whole life. So they control your friendships too. I'm not trying to make any of those friends feel bad if they know that their friend is a part of something like that or their relative is a part of something like that. But some of them are not even real friends. There's no way you could be my friend and I know that you're a part of something like that and I'm not trying to help you. They're probably limited to what they can do to help, but it's just to feed into that and you know, really aid in that lifestyle, knowing that the bondage that they're in, that's not your friend. And most of them probably just enjoying the benefits of them even being famous and knowing what they have to do and not caring because they're close to them and they get some of the money. You know, they get to go around and travel with them and be their personal assistant and all this stupid stuff. They're not worried about your soul or your salvation. They just happy that they can get the benefits and they ain't got to go through what you're going through. It's very similar to Jesus. Everybody wants Jesus' benefits. They want his blessings and his deliverance, but they don't want to endure the cross like he did. They don't want to surrender and have to go through the wilderness and every other season of trial that God takes his people through to even get prosperity or any of those things. So they really don't even have genuine friendships. They have nobody around them that truly loves them, that is not superficial and not out to get them or use them in some way. That is put in their life purposely to keep them broken down. They have no one, nobody to help them. Nobody. Which is why God has to interject some of his people into these environments and these industries and the matrix to snatch them out.